What a wonderful day this is. My name is Reverend Leslie Goodwin. I'm one of your senior ministers, and I am so joyful, just so joyful to be with you today. Around here we have a saying. It started a while ago. It's hashtag once NVC, always MVC. People move, people go to other centers, people do all kinds of things, and we just keep claiming you. We just keep claiming you wherever you are. I mean, you can try to get away, but we will still claim you. And yesterday I got to do the most lovely thing. So one of our long time ministers here in the Valley, Reverend Catherine McDowell, she's been a staff minister here at MVC, hence we claim her, right? Once MVC, always MVC. And she was honored yesterday for, because of pandemic, it should have been 30 years of ministry 3 years ago. So 33 years of Centers for Spiritual Living Religious Science Ministry. I got the great honor of introducing her as one of her many thousands of students. She taught my class all the way through both years of practitioner training and has been a beautiful mentor to thousands and thousands of students and many of us here at New Vision Center. So let's just send some love out to Reverend Catherine in honor of her 33 years. It's a big job, and 33 years is a long time to do it. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. My talk today is called Midwifing My Own Rebirthing. Midwifing My Own Rebirthing. And I love it that Rick is singing about love today, because if you've ever been in a birth process, there's a lot of love going on there, right? I mean, love got you there. We hope. And love gets you through it, though there are some touchy moments. And to catch up anybody who hasn't been a part of our year this year as far as our sermon themes, we've been talking about the spiritual hero's journey. And this comes from Joseph Campbell's seminal work on myths and archetypes, and it says that every big story goes through this certain cycle. And we have a slide that talks about the cycle. We've been using this slide all year. And we've gone through this process together as a community. We've received our call. We've gone through the preparation. We've walked over to that big edge of crossing into the threshold of the world of the unknown, and we've peeked over it, and we had minor nervous breakdowns and all shrieked together, and then decided to step anyway into the unknown, where we've met trials, we've had moments of failures, moments of success, and then we've gone through this process of allowing ourselves to die to that which no longer serves who we are becoming, and we're in this process of rebirth. And, we tend to think of, you're born and then you're born, right? But as Jeff's absolutely perfect reading from the wonderful Mark Napo showed us, it really is a process. The being bornness is not something that, boom, then you're there. It's a process of moving through and creating who you are. So now that we're past the scary tentacles and flames, right? And we're over here in this rebirth portion, but we haven't quite hit the place of revelation where we are fully embodying who we have chosen to become. We're in the in-between. We're in the rebirthing process. So just like as we move into adulthood and we kind of go through that reparenting process where we realize our parents did the best they could do in the moment that they were in it with the information they had. And if we want to go further than that, we need to a certain extent, reparent ourselves, right? We are lucky enough to be born into a world where we have the resources and the time and the mental acuity and the technology to do just that. And often that's what we're doing in a place like this, right? We're coming together to rise up in our own inner wisdom and support one another in that process. Well, rebirthing is exactly the same. We've made this claim for ourselves. We accepted the call. We strongly considered not accepting it, a few of us. I know I spent a few moments going, oh, no. But gosh darn it, God just kept calling. It does that, right? It just keeps calling on the inside of ourselves until we accept that which is ours to do. And now here we are. We've said, this is what I'm being reborn to. I'm claiming it. I'm conscious of it. And now we have to do it. Just claiming it isn't enough. We actually have to do it. And there are some things we can learn from the midwives of the world to support and soothe this process for ourselves and for one another as we step into who we are truly meant to be in this moment. Recognizing that when we get to the top of the cycle on that slide, what are we going to do? We're going to start all over with the next call, and won't that be fun for us? You know, this wisdom, we call it New Thought, right? Which I think is just the funniest name, because truly what Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith calls it, I think, is a truer truth. New Thought, ancient wisdom. Because it is coming from every faith teaching, every mystical branch of every faith teaching, and every philosophy for all time. Good luck finding one that disagrees. And Plato, who would not really have considered himself a faith teacher, I don't think, but an awfully wise guy, said the greatest privilege of a human life is to become midwife to the awakening of the soul in another person. And truly, we're becoming a midwife to the awakening of the soul of our own person. We're midwifing our own selves. And here's a secret that isn't a secret. It's all about love. Every bit of it is about love. Sometimes it's messy love. Sometimes it's loud love. Sometimes it's throwing things love. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes it's crying love. Sometimes it's resistant love, but at the heart of all of the movement is love. So let's look into these ideas of midwifing that can support us through this process. Yeah? We're in? The first one is compassion and care. Compassion and care. And when we're applying that to ourselves, it's compassion, self-compassion, and self-care. So whether you had a midwife in your birthing process or a birth coach, which often serves some of those same places, or have been that for someone else, someone you love, I think we all have experienced a variant of the idea of, sweetie, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it to the other side of this. Breathe. It's all right. Whatever you need. I spent most of my first birthing process, my first child, in a bathtub. I wouldn't get out. I had warm water. I was comfortable. A nice nurse lady told me I could be in there. And then another nice nurse lady, hours and hours and hours later, told me I had to get out. Nope. I was going to live in that bathtub for the rest of my life. I was going to raise this child in that bathtub. I was going to graduate her from college in that bathtub. We were staying in the bathtub. And finally, this lovely woman said, what do you need to feel safe getting out of the bathtub? Out of that warm water so that we can move you. It was time to push. I was going to birth this baby, not in a nice birthing pool, in a standard hospital bathtub. There's nowhere for anybody to catch. What do you need to feel safe getting out of the bathtub? Anything you need. What do you need? And you know what? I didn't actually need anything. I needed to know that somebody cared about what I needed to feel safe. And I locked eyes with that lady, and she had her arms out, and I locked my arms onto hers, and she helped all 900 pregnant pounds of me up out of that bathtub. And we did it. We birthed a baby. And my now 26-year-old daughter, Lauren, is that baby, and she, in fact, has not lived her life in a bathtub. We have a tendency in our own lives to be that gentle space for other people. What do you need? What do you need, sweetheart? It's natural, right? It rises up within us to just be that place of reaching out. What do you need? But when it comes to what we need, suddenly that's a luxury. I shouldn't need that. It's just me, right? That ever thinks, oh, that's unnecessary. That's too much. I'm being needy. I'm being clingy. I'm being selfish. Ooh, the selfish word. What you need is not a luxury. What you need to feel safe moving forward is not a luxury. And in order to midwife our own step into whatever is next for us, we need to get real clear in our own selves that whatever we need is a necessity. The word need actually comes etymologically from the word necessity. We need it. We need it. The chick needed to run out of food and air, to be brave enough to stretch and crack that shell. We need certain things to expand into the truth of who we are. And we got to let go. We got to imagine the beautiful midwife in our mind doing the big poof of enlightenment when we say, but I shouldn't need that. I should be better than that. I should be more spiritual than that. I should be more developed than that. Whatever the crazy BS label we stick on it in our mind, we got to let that go. My beloved, who forever is getting thrown under the bus in these talks, he's such a sweet man. He's meditating right now. It says to me the other day, he has developed through some overuse, he's a guitar player, and he's developed some overuse stuff, and it's turned into a knot in underneath his scapula. And I said, I think it's time for some massage. I think that's probably the thing that would, help work that out. It's gotten to the point where it's affecting how his hand works. It's time to get that massage. Well, that just feels like a luxury. Dude, your hand stopped working. What you need is never a luxury. What you need is what you need. And in this process of rebirthing ourselves, how about we just get okay with that? And give ourselves the same compassion and love and soft space that we would provide literally anybody else, a stranger off the street, someone we actively didn't like. We would give that kind of compassion to, right? Seriously, our least favorite person on the planet walks up, I'm starving. You're going to be like, no. I didn't expect to have to tell you no. We are naturally compassionate people, and in this act of self-rebirthing, of midwifing ourselves into this next thing, we've got to give ourselves all of that goodness that we would give anyone else. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, we can have no understanding of divine compassion unless we ourselves first exercise compassion. It's hard to really absorb the immensity of divine compassion unless we have walked it out with another being. And I would say, even before we walk it out fully with another being, to understand it completely, we must walk it out for ourselves, with ourselves. Self-compassion is an art, but it's important. It's an important piece of understanding our connection with infinite spirit. The second part of midwifing that I think really speaks to this rebirthing the self experience is the idea of discipline. So my thanks to Larry Hartstein from the online campus in Mexico, who shared this joke with me recently. He said, a woman who was about to give birth to her first child was talking to her friend who'd given birth 4 times and said, okay, I know they say it's going to hurt. I get it, right? But how much? How much hurting are we talking about here? I just want to feel prepared. And the woman's like, well, okay, here's the best I can do. Take your lower lip in your fingers, right? And tug it a little bit. Just tug it. And she's like, oh, that's not bad at all. I can totally do that. Okay. And she's like, okay, great. Now pull it up over your head. The truth is, rebirthing ourselves does not come without its challenges. It does. And some of them are very childbirth-like. The first one is opening. In order to rebirth ourselves, we have to dilate. We have to open our mind, open our heart, open our consciousness, open our willingness to expand into possibilities we have not seen before. Open our willingness to be more self-aware, to look at our behaviors and where they've led us in the past, to look at what we hope for and see what we think might be needed to get us there. Now, those of us who own a cervix, about 2/3 of us in this room from the look of things, even if you have not actually birthed a child, we have experienced this wonderful thing called cramps, which is a small, very minor dilation of the cervix. Those of you who have had to bring those of us who have experienced said cramps chocolate have a tiny glimpse of what that might be like. It is not comfortable. It is not comfortable to take something that's used to being all closed up and tight, right? And go, rah. It's not comfortable in the body. It's not comfortable in any part of our beingness. And yet, if we're going to pass something through, we got to have room. We've got to make the space for the new to come through. There's this thing called resistance. And whether it is the resistance of a not fully open cervix, spiritual or otherwise, or the resistance of a closed mind or heart, you know what doesn't work when it's not fully open? Pushing. A huge part of midwifing, any birthing of any nature, is saying, not yet. Wait. Those of us in the room who've been a birth coach know that this is not always well received. Sweetie, breathe. My first husband may or may not still have a healthy fear of me from the period of time when he said, and I quote, "And then the demon came out of you." We don't always like being told, not yet. Be with it. As a minister, I say a lot, and I apologize to all of you who've heard me say, then go back to your prayer chair. It's exactly the same thing as saying, we're waiting for the dilation to complete. Pushing through resistance causes spiritual swelling, which just closes it back up further. If we're not sure yet, if we're not ready yet, there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying where we're at, breathing through it, and waiting until the resistance dissolves. Trying to force ourselves to be where we're not yet is the opposite of self-compassion. There's no there to get to. There's no deadline. There's no end time for all of this. It's not like we're going to get to December 31st and the spiritual hero's journey is over. And if you didn't get there, too bad for you. We're going on to a new theme and you do not get to be reborn. There's no magical time when you should be this developed. There's no magical space you're supposed to be. People are always like, I just want to get there. I just want to get there. There's no there. You get there and you know what you find out? There's no there. It's just, what happens before you're enlightened is you chop wood and carry water. You do whatever's in front of you, right? You do the dishes. You drive the kids to school. You take your friend to lunch. You do what's in front of you to do. You know what happens after enlightenment? You chop wood and carry water. You do the dishes. You take the kids to school. You take your friend to lunch. Life isn't different anywhere except here. This is where the change is. And you know how you know when you're one step deeper into the there? Life feels better. That's the whole story. That's the big secret. Is the only thing that changes as you feel more free, more joyous, more loving, more calm. And there's always more of that to be had. There's no end to the fountain of good that is coming through us every moment. And all we're doing with all of this is taking off the layers and layers of sunglasses that hide that truth from us so that we can fully experience it in the real time, real life. Labor wears you out. I have never seen anybody give birth and then be like, where's the party? We usually don't even want anybody to come visit for a little while because it wears you out. And spiritual rebirth is exactly the same. Don't be surprised if you find yourself going within, wanting more quiet, being more discerning about how you spend your time and with whom. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's the most natural thing in the world to just allow yourself the space to settle into who you are now. Pushing into what you think you should be doing, should be feeling, should be walking out. Again, it's the opposite of self-compassion. What you need is not a luxury. And if what you need is to be alone or to be with certain specific people that help you feel supported, no matter what anybody else's opinion is about it, what you need is not a luxury. We have to have the discipline, the midwifery discipline, to tell ourselves to breathe, to take the time, to take the space. So the third thing that I think we really learn from the midwifing process is joy. When something big changes, we have this tendency as humans, because of the way our brains are constructed, to focus in on what we have lost. And really, man, we just stare at that dot on the floor, right? What has gone away, what is different, and we can tend to make that be what is wrong. In labor, we lose a great many things. A lot of them are fluids. Just everywhere, right? If you've never been present for this process, it's not tidy. It's not tidy. We lose, I lost my bathtub, and they don't let me stay in there. We lose the placenta. We lose the state of being pregnant, of having another being inside of our physical body. We lose a certain amount of control over the shape and function of our body for a period of time. We lose the fact that we don't have a being to care for, because presumably now we do. Everything is different. However, there is this new being. Now, when we birth a baby, all of the attention goes on, baby, 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 baby. That's me. That's exactly how I act around babies, all of them. And sometimes just having birthed mamas feel a little bit like, could you guys take the baby in another room so I can have a nap? When we are birthing a new self, we forget to celebrate the baby. We're so honed in on whatever it is that we had to let go of to make space for this new, that we forget to celebrate the baby. And if the only thing that lands for you today is this one thing, please let it really land. You deserve to be celebrated. This new baby you that is coming up from the depths of infinite spirit itself as the new you deserves to be celebrated. I don't care that you can't walk yet. I don't care that you're all scrunched up and making faces. Can't speak English quite yet. Haven't found your feet. Haven't found your ground. It doesn't matter. You birthed a new you, and it deserves to be celebrated joyfully, beautifully. There is only one you in all of time and space. One you. And the only way God as you can be fully known on this planet ever in all of time and space is if you allow yourself to express fully and completely the entirety and the magnificence of who you are. Not who you think you should be, not who your mother thinks you should be, not who that person over there thinks you should be. Not who you used to be, not who you used to want to be, but you, right now. Yeah. You deserve to be celebrated. You are so necessary for the full expression of life on this planet that Infinite Spirit saw it necessary to bring you forth, and it picked this form and this moment. It is right, it is good, and you deserve to be celebrated. So life is a party. It's a party. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, we have a song to sing, we have a joy to bring to the world, and love and peace and happiness. We each have a unique song, a unique joy, and it deserves to be celebrated. This planet needs more joy, yes? This world needs more celebration, yes? We are that. We are the celebrated and the celebrators. We are the party and the party goers, and the reason the party was scheduled. And we need to be kind enough to ourselves to own that and throw the frickin' party. Our divine call, our entire divine call, is to be loving enough of ourselves and of this planet, of this consciousness, to be all that we are. That's it. That's the only thing the universe wants of us, is to be fully and completely who we really are. The beloved Persian poet Rumi said it like this: every midwife knows that not until a mother's womb softens from pain of labor will a way unfold, and the infant will find that opening to be born. Oh, friend, there is treasure in your heart. It is heavy with child. Listen. All the awakened ones, like trusted midwives, are saying, welcome this. Welcome this pain. It opens the dark passage of grace. And so this week, this is our call to love ourselves enough to midwife ourselves kindly through this rebirthing process, to celebrate that which is becoming. And so it is. Beautiful. beautiful. I'd like to invite our practitioners and ministers of religious science to rise with me and stand in the anchoring prayer. What a joy it is to know that indwelling Spirit is always right where we are. That the truth of our beingness is God-informed, unique and yet in complete harmony with the whole of all of life. To know that every beloved within the sound of my voice, this is their truth. We are the love of God. We are the peace of God. We are the creativity of God. We are the infinite wholeness of Spirit itself in every way. That because of this, every needed thing is provided. And whatever cause or concern was on our heart when we entered this service, that it is met in that place of divine compassion, of divine acceptance, of divine celebration. And so I know that each one of us is breathing a little bit more deeply, a little bit more softly, as we center into this truth that God and I are one. The highest God and the innermost God is one God, the infinite Spirit, the divine mind, perfect intelligence, whatever we call it, is right here all of the time. And as we are reborn into our next expression, God is right there as well, every time, every time. So grateful for this truth and to recognize it for each one of us as we say together, and so it is.